suggestions? Thank you. Let's get straight on then to agenda item 6, the cycling vision portfolio. Leon, this a movie.
There's a presentation, so there are some seats.
Oh yeah, I see. Oh look, we've got extra seats off the wall.
So this this presentation comes in two parts. Firstly, we thought what we would do is set out what we think the cycling vision really will deliver for London, and just demonstrate really what the streetscape of London might look like. And then the second part of it is there's a formal paper seeking project authority for £25 million towards the detailed design work on the project. So starting with the big numbers, these are the challenges on cycling for us. We're looking to spend some £913 million over the next 10 years to make the step change in cycling. There are 600,000 cycle trips a day in London. It's about 10% of the bus trips, 20% of the underground, and 4.3 million potential cycling journeys in London for us to tap into. Between 2008 and 2012, 68 cycle fatalities, 2,519 serious injuries, which helps focus on what we need to do in respect of safety. We need to make it possible for more women to cycle in London. As you can see, only just over half the comparable cycling in Amsterdam. And our target is a 400% increase in cycling, which will get us to 1.5 million trips per day by 2026. But in order to try and bring to life what this level of expenditure and this level of change in the London streetscape would look like, we've made this film, which is available to stakeholders and is available also online.
Transport is absolutely critical in the way we live our lives. If we get our transport system right, we can make London ever more livable, and we can make it ever more economically attractive as well.
So cycling on London's main roads has almost trebled over the past decade.
24% of all vehicles in central London in the morning rush hour are now bikes. On some routes it's 2/3 of all vehicles.
And so to cater for this, the Mayor has real plans to transform the provisions for cycling here in London.
The idea of the Mayor's cycling vision means less crowd on the tube, it means fewer cars on the streets, it means less pollution, it means less congestion, it means less competition for parking spaces, it means fewer cars in front of yours at the lights. Investing in cycling makes life better for everyone.
So obviously the funding that supports the Mayor's vision is substantial.
The vision's success depends on the cooperation of the 32 London boroughs and the City of London, River Trust, the Network Rail, the Royal Parks, a whole host of other agencies.
So their combined efforts could persuade millions of Londoners to try cycling in both inner and outer London. 4.3 million trips made every day could be made by bike. 80% of those trips would take most people less than 20 minutes. So the streets of central London will be opened up to cyclists as never before. A network of cycle routes will cover London like a grid, easy to follow as you zip across town. And also London's outer London boroughs have significant potential for cycling.
The vast majority of journeys by car are less than a mile and a half. Why not make those journeys by bicycle where that's possible? Greatly civilise and improve our urban existence.
And 3 or 4 of the outer London boroughs will be awarded funding through our Mini Hollands programme.
The idea is to make those boroughs places as good as their Dutch equivalents would be.
These are going to be fantastic places for cycling where we help the boroughs to put in interventions that will encourage large-scale cycling.
That means redesigns of the town centres, it means good routes from the town centres to the rest of the boroughs, it means cycle to railway stations.
In the mornings, I get straight here, leaving my helmet and my jacket and the lights and all the paraphernalia behind. And it just means I jump on the tube as a normal commuter.
So people who choose cycling longer distances between inner London and outer London will benefit from new and improved cycle superhighways. And in central and outer London, the superhighways will link into quiet side streets we're calling quiet ways.
How the quiet ways are going to work is we're largely going to use back roads, side streets, canal take paths, routes through parks, and we're going to signpost routes which will be beautiful and interesting and quiet and peaceful, and people who are new to cycling and nervous about cycling will enjoy them a lot more than they enjoy pounding on the main road.
And those people who are new to cycling can get free or discounted training through their borough before they head out onto the new cycling network.
I think the best thing I did was have a cycling lesson. It gave me so much more confidence. I felt much safer on the road. I learned a few rules that just made me feel that I could cope with anything.
So ensuring that cyclists feel safe is a really big part of the Mayor's vision. So this network of joined up, signposted, safer routes will make end-to-end cycle journeys easier than ever before, encouraging an 8-year-old to 80-year-old cycling culture across London.
We're looking for slightly different group of people, perhaps slightly older people, slightly more women, people from different ethnic communities. If we can crack that one, we really are into very serious levels of cycling right across the city.
In 5 or 10 years' time, what we'll see is a city where people feel safer cycling, feel confident cycling, and choose to cycle because they really enjoy the experience.
So this makes London a city with a world-class transport and cycling network.
Cycling is hugely important because it's the cleanest and greenest way of getting around. It gets you fittest and makes you feel better.
So, this is a schematic of what the tube network for the bike overall would look like. What we're seeing here in blue, the cycle superhighways, in green, the network of quiet ways. The 4 blobs that you see are indicative of the mini Hollands, the decisions of which have not yet been made, so don't please assume Havering, Barnet, Hillingdon and Merton, this is you. And then, of course, in the centre of town, the central London grid, which we see here. This particular map is now already out to consultation. This is our proposed cycle routes across the whole of the centre of town. So there's some challenges, of course, because in reassigning the road space in the way that we're going to, in order to provide the facilities for cyclists, including with additional segregation. Firstly, this is a really ambitious set of works that we have to do. And secondly, we'll have to work very hard in order to mitigate the effects on all other traffic, and in particular some of the special users, such as buses and freight. So we'll be using much more active traffic management, like we did during the Olympics, in order to keep London's traffic moving smoothly. We'll be investing significantly more in Scoot in order to make sure that we've got continued improved computer control of our traffic signals. And we'll also have to work very quickly to make sure that incidents are cleared up on the network very quickly, and that we're continuing to give out great public information to customers. So that £913 million is split up like this. You can see on screen the expenditure planned for cycle superhighways and better junctions and so on the TLRN. And then, of course, through the boroughs, through the biking boroughs, the mini Hollands, and works on the non-TLRN. And then also the expenditure, which is not about infrastructure at all. It is about initiatives, training, enforcement, and making sure that there's adequate monitoring and research. So, the benefits of the cycling portfolio. Firstly, just looking at transport. Firstly, that cycling is actually the fastest mode for many journeys, so we can actually give individuals real time savings. The cycling trips are normally very reliable in terms of journey times. Very importantly, cycling can relieve demand at peak periods. This is taking people off the forms of transport, including the bus, for short journeys in central London and also short car trips in outer London. And to take advantage of the fact that, by definition, apart from buses, bicycles are actually very, very efficient users of road space. None of us, of course, can forget from some of the issues that we've had in the past how important safety is. So what does the cycling portfolio give us? Firstly, it gives us, through the infrastructure improvements, a real chance to reduce the number of killed and seriously injured at the high-profile junctions and also the major gyratories in London. The improvements that we're seeking to make are critical to making sure that the Mayor's target of reducing KSIs by 40% by 2020 is achieved. We'll need to make sure that we trial new forms of cycle infrastructure to make sure that they deliver what we want them to do. We will continue to press forward with cycle training for cyclists and cycle awareness training for other road users, in particular HGVs. and also to continue to break down the negative perceptions that exist as far as cycling is concerned, and make sure that we continue to attract new cyclists. We think that this huge investment in cycling is good for business. This also gives us big improvements in our urban realm. It creates new business opportunities. It allows for business to flourish in new urban areas. And also it reduces absenteeism. In fact, cyclists take 1.3 fewer sick days per year than non-cyclists. That neatly brings us to health, because of course health and fitness is the top reason why people choose to take up cycling. We get reduced mortality and absenteeism. We all know that exercise is good for you. Cycling as part of your journey anywhere, of course, adds to that exercise. And a 5% cycling mode share is expected to deliver real improvement into London, a monetised number that we can calculate about the effect of the reduced mortality. And what about the public realm? Well, the public realm, the cycling vision that we have, the plans that we have for the next 10 years will make a huge improvement to the look and feel of London. It'll just be more attractive. The whole areas of London will be completely transformed for pedestrians, for vulnerable users, and for people who live and work here. And of course, the environmental benefits. As part of the urban realm improvements, we'll be planting more trees and making the streetscape more beautiful. But every trip that moves from any sort of vehicle to cycling immediately brings about a reduction in emissions, and therefore a big improvement in air quality. So we think there'll be huge environmental benefits from the daily trips that we'll get from private car and taxi and from other forms of transport onto cycling. And finally, it makes something very important for our competitiveness. And this quote from the Managing Director of Google, who says that what we are doing in this city for cycling was critical to their decision to invest in King's Cross and in London for their new headquarters here. This is a big job. This is probably one of the biggest infrastructure projects that we will have tackled. So within the surface, we've had a major change in our organisational arrangements last September to make sure that we are geared up in order to deliver this. We're working very hard to upskill our own people and also those people in the boroughs. We've recruited more than 100 staff, including designers and engineers. And we have recruited nationally and internationally and taken the benefit of international experience. There will be strong portfolio governance. We'll be driving efficiency through the contract, securing sponsorship, of course, where possible. And because we have a very much longer list of schemes to do than we necessarily have money, then there's a great pressure to push the cost down, because the cheaper we can get the schemes done, then the more schemes that we can have. And of course, we will be regularly reporting on this. Here's our timeline. We've already launched Cycle Superhighway 2 extension. We've got the grid map out in consultation, and we've already launched the Southwest Extension Phase 3 of Cycle Hire. Very shortly we shall be announcing the results of the Mini Holland bid, up to £25 million each for 3 or 4 London boroughs to do some major schemes in their areas. And we've been working over the last year on the actual design of high-quality cycle superhighways, improvements to the existing ones and to the quiet ways. All of that gets us into, has got us through the last year, and now into a big series of deliveries which takes us through beyond 2015. So for all of those reasons, and this artist's impression of what we intend for Elephant and Castle to look like, is what is supporting the work that we're doing in order to create more cycling in London, make the city more beautiful, and make all the improvements which I referred to.
Thank you. Neil, thank you very much. We do resume our... Thank you very much. That's a fantastic presentation. I completely agree with all of it. Any comments or questions?